So my first question for anybody watching this that doesn't know anything about your band, let's get one thing out of the way. How do you say the name of your band?
You want to? It's very because it's a French name at the same time. It's AXLAUSTADE. So which is related to Axl Rose at the Olympic Stadium.
Yeah.
So yeah, so it's so we I think at the beginning it was like three separate words, but and then Steve I think wrote it for Instagram account or something. Said, hey, it looks cool when it's like in one word,
right?
And we're like, okay, that's it. Let's make it that way. So AXLAUSTADE, that's how you say it.
So the story of Axl in Montreal is obviously kind of legendary, but some people might not know about what happened. So can you remind us of what happened? It was 1992, right?
Exactly. Yeah, go ahead, Steve.
Yeah. Oh, okay. yeah. It's part of rock Montreal rock history. It's there were a big concert at the Olympic Stadium with Faith No More, Metallica, and Guns N' Roses. And Metallica, it's the night that James Hetfield got like how do you say that in English? Like
he got burned. Hit by he got burned by like with a pyrotechnic.
Yeah, pyrotechnic.
Yeah, exactly.
So Metallica stopped the show, and after Guns N' Roses wait like for 2 or 3 hours to go on stage. So already people in the stadium was getting a bit crazy, and Axl Guns N' Roses just played like 5 songs. Guns N' Roses, Axl Rose get out of the stage, and after this, how do you say this? It was a total cow in the stadium. It was comment on the emirate in English?
Riot. There was a riot.
Yeah, there was a big riot. We were I wasn't there. We were like 12 years old, but we were watching this at Music Plus. It was like the Much Music, the French Much Music. And so when we found this name, we thought it was very funny because for us it's kind of the start of we start, Nevermind was out 1 year before this show, and as a young kid, and we're not very into air metal no more. We're gonna go with the grunge scene, and
that sounds familiar to me because I was like in the 80s. I was listening to like Motley Crue and all those kind of bands, and then I think I discovered Nine Inch Nails, and then along came, like you say, Nirvana, Pearl Jam, and
exactly.
And I kind of left the other music.
Jane's Addiction. Jane's Addiction was
We still talk about this show. It's so funny since we since the album is out, a lot of people tell us, "Oh, I was there. It was crazy." And so I think it's important in the Montreal rock history.
Yeah, I even checked some like old stories about. I heard like Guns N' Roses took a long time to come on stage because they had to like tear down all the stage for Metallica, and all the crew, the Guns N' Roses crew was already was still at the hotel. So because the show was supposed to be like 2 hours with Metallica, so they were waiting at the hotel. So by the time like they tear down the stage, the Guns N' Roses crew come in the stadium, they set everything up, they do like a very quick line check, sound check. Guns N' Roses gets on stage. It was like it was a total mess.
Yeah. So like you guys, like you technically you're a new band. You just played your first show. How many bands get to play their first show on the main stage at Osheaga?
No idea.
So how did that come about?
I mean, we have all like other career before we joined that band. So I think it was more a stamp of approval. Like what you did in the past was good enough. I'm sure you're gonna put on a good show, and it's gonna be great. And Steve, talk with the Nick. What's his name?
Nick Forecast from
Nick Forecast, and
it's like the Osheaga.
Yeah, and there's some sort of like 7 people like who approved like who's gonna play, and like Steve talked with Nick and he said everybody was like we need to get that band. I think everybody agreed with that, so we felt like, oh my god, it's so cool that our first show is going to be at Osheaga, and it was a good adrenaline rush for us to just to say, okay, so we need to make it happen. We need we need videos and a concept for the show. We need to get ready. So it was very cool.
Yeah, pretty amazing. I was there, I have to say.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah, and the visuals, you mentioned the video screens, and that all played a big part in the show. And obviously you're an instrumental band, so there isn't like the focal point of a lead singer. So I think having those visuals, it just adds to the cinematic effect of the music, right? So you mentioned that you've done other stuff in the past. How did you guys all kind of get together?
Start with the birthday of Joe, right?
It was my birthday. I wanted to. We had a crazy project. We wanted to record with Steve Albini in Chicago. That was the target. And what I like about him is that it's pretty easy to book him. He doesn't really care about anything. I mean, you want to record, I'll record you. It's not even expensive. So I think the whole package to like, we had 2 days of recording, 1 day of mixing, and we were like sleeping at the studio, and so that was like, and we were talking with him, like, Steve, you get an email from Steve Albini like talking about the session, how he wants to set up things, and so it's very cool. But our session was March 15, 2020.
Okay.
So like 2 days before leaving. Yeah. So everything was dead. So it was
when we decide to go to recording with Steve Albini, we start to jam every day with at the studio with with no riff, nothing, no song, and we start to record our jam on a phone. And every time we were like, oh, this is a good part, this is a good jam. We keep it, we learn it, and the song of the album are born like this. And just to say that Francis, when we start to jam, me and Joe, Francis, we call Francis because it's been a long time that we want to work with Francis. Francis is from a band called Malajube, who's very important in the indie scene, Montreal indie scene, in the last 20 years. When do you stop, Francis and Malajube? 2015?
2012, last show.
Oh yeah. So Francis had to the jam to go to Albini, and we start to work. But as Joe said, the pandemic everything stopped in America, like the day we were supposed to go.
Yeah, and at the same time, I was talking with some friends, and they were like, you weren't recording anything? I was like, why? Like, we were going to Chicago to record with Steve Albini. Like, the only thing Steve Albini said, just make sure you're like fucking ready to play when you get in the studio. Like, make sure like you know exactly what you want to do. Make sure you know how you want to do it, and we'll do it. So that was so we're like, just okay, let's jam. Okay, I have a session in the morning, but we can jam before that, and maybe later tomorrow night we could like jam maybe like another 2 hours, and then Friday, if we're trying to find all those little moments where we could like get in the studio, jam for an hour, make some noise, and just and that's it. So that's really how we started the band. Just like we had to put the hours to go to Chicago to record with Steve Albini, which never happened.
Never happened. But so when you first got together, like what was your vision for the band? Obviously you're an instrumental band. Was that always the idea?
Not really. It was I think we didn't care really. I mean, to go to Steve Albini, it was already like something we wanted to be raw. I think that was I mean, we work on laptops every day. We fix things, we move things, and that's our job. I mean, and at some point we said, let's do the opposite of that. Like, don't touch anything. Just play, and that's who we are. I mean, we have it in your face. You listen back, and you're like, that's it. That's your band, guys. If you don't like it, it's your problem. I mean, it's because I won't. Steve Albini, like, he doesn't fix anything. You try to make you sound good, but that's about it. So we wanted something raw, wanted something real, and we wanted to make it thrilling. I mean, we wanted to be excited about the music. And when we started to jam, if I go back a bit, I listened to a lot of instrumental music, and we wanted to treat like guitar, bass, and drum like an instrument, like a piano. You can record a solo like Chili Gonzalez. I don't know if you know Chili Gonzalez. Yeah. So it's, I mean, you have the melody, you have the bass, you have the rhythm. So it's like a piano is like an instrument, and we wanted to treat like guitar, bass, and drum like it was an instrument, just one thing that you can just listen to that one thing in a like very raw way, and very like yeah, that's it. That was the point. That was our goal. We soon found out that was what we wanted to do.
So was there ever any discussion about looking for a vocalist, or you didn't even consider that?
Francis, we talked about that.
Yeah, we did. We talked about it for a while. Even Jonathan suggested someone on the keyboard, on the piano. I don't know, it was pretty open at the beginning. But soon enough, I think we realized that, well, it's kind of not that bad being just the three of us, and maybe more than not that bad. It was kind of good and kind of fun. So we were open to any kind of like construction mixture in the band. But then after a couple of jams, we kind of, it can work, and it's kind of fun also not to get the weight of a singer, or weight of writing lyrics. I think Steve does it a lot on his own, so I never really did our intention to get him in the spot of being a singer again. So and yeah, it's kind of more light, I think, without vocals. I mean, the music is not that light in the end, but it's just easier sometimes, and it was fun. So we got along with the idea of being just the three of us.
Yeah, and the three of us was decided to put time in on the jam, and I think the like Joseph and Francis said, a lot of time the band could be a lot of things if there's a keyboardist or singer, but I think the three of us was the guys who were enough crazy to put that much time in jams and stuff. So that's why it give AXLAUSTADE. It's like we call a lot of friends to be in the band, but it was complicated. So we become instrumental.
Yeah, but that was at the early stage. Was at the early stages of the band. I mean, we had no idea we'd play Osheaga, no idea we're gonna put out an album. If we're being honest, it was really to record with Steve Albini and send it to some friends to have fun. Like, listen, like we went to record with Steve Albini, like just to pass it around, like never like put out an album. That was never the point. So for us, there was no pressure. We weren't trying to fit like a specific square. We're like, let's do something we like, and just it was more about living that trip to to Chicago and to record. That was it.
Yeah.
And
So you mentioned the album. When did you start actually putting that together?
Before we were leaving for Chicago, the week before that, we said let's try to to record like a test, like, because we never played we just rehearsed the song and we never played the song in a studio context. So how do you count in the song? Do we have to look at each other to punch in the cue? So we did some sort of a rehearsal for recording. So we set up everything and we recorded all the songs. Then 8 months of pandemic, Steve gives that recording to some friends. They're like, oh, that's great, you guys should like do something with that, we really like it. And then we were happy with it, but we did that like 2 takes of each song. So we said, I'm sure we can like go further with that. And in like December of last year, in between like second wave and third wave, like, we were able to of pandemic, we were able to book like 2 weeks of studio at my studio. And that's how we recorded like all the songs, but in the same manner of how we like everything was recorded in the same room without click, very in that same spirit that we would have a recording with Steve Albini, that in the same kind of spirit.
Yeah. So when you're putting these songs together for an album, you know, especially as it's an instrumental album, how do you decide on the sequencing? How do you kind of put things together as a complete project like that?
Yeah, Francis can talk to you about that. It's like we started to build a story around the songs.
Yeah, I think Jonathan wanted to say that we kind of built stories around each song, but like the old project became like a big story. So we just talked about this song can be like the story of a guy who's going out to play a show, and then he just leaves the show, and then he has to do he's like acting as a band gear, so he's like dropping every instrument at everyone's place, that kind of story. Okay. And then so we made up stories for each song, and then we had a pretty big picture of like a whole concept of the album, like in our heads. So basically the story of this guy from being a young kid to becoming a musician, and then kind of dropping out of the music world, like en gros c'est ça. And then so the songs, they pretty much relates to this chronology in the history we made up. So yeah, you don't hear it that much in the song. I mean, it's kind of pretty much for our own pleasure, and to have something to work with and kind of make sense in our head. And yeah, so I don't know if it's clear, but
yeah,
it's kind of something we did on our own that wasn't like really apparent or very clear in the music, but it helped us to
take decisions,
work with the songs, and then do the track listing. So basically we can follow this the character story through the track listing, but it's kind of
it's
like a soundtrack to a movie that doesn't exist.
Exactly.
But it exists in our head, we know it.
And like how when we said, okay, we need a story to find more answers about that project. So we were like doing like jams of ideas. We would like, instead of meeting to jam, would meet to like talk about what that character wants, where he's going and where he's coming from. And soon enough, we realized that when we did music, when we were making music like at a younger age, it was more about like, oh, it's so cool in Seattle, it's so cool in Chicago, it's so cool out there. But it wasn't about like very like her life, how it was when I'm from like a very small place, and it's like nothing's really happening there. But at the same time, something was happening there, and we come like from very similar places, Francis, Steve, and I, and we were trying to pinpoint like the elements we had in common to build that story. So it's really like it's very close to who we were when we were like at a younger age. So it's it was fun. It was fun to, because when you start a band when you're like, I don't know, like 17 years old, you're like, oh, LA or Cali. I mean, you see it big, but you don't think like what you have in front of you could be that what you have like the most important thing could be just right in front of you. So that's what we try to do with the story and the song, and how we put the story together and with the songs.
Yeah, so I can see a few instruments in the background in your shots, and you are bass, drums, and guitar. But do you each play different instruments? I'm thinking Francis, maybe.
Yeah, sure. I don't play that much drum here. I'm at my place. I have a drum kit just around, but it's kind of full of neighbors and kids. So I don't play that much drum. No, but it's kind of true. I do, but I have to give gift to my neighborhood to compensate. But I play, like, I have keyboards and guitars here. So yeah.
What about you guys?
Yeah, same thing. I mean, I do a lot of like scoring, like music scoring. So I mean, at some point you have to, or I produce albums or that kind of stuff. So at some point you have to play everything. So even like if you don't master like all the instruments, but at some point you have to try to make it work.
Yeah, so same thing here. And for the project was interesting. Guitar, in a guitar way, I use a lot of alternate tuning, like Thurston Moore. I was looking, and so when I play guitar with AXLAUSTADE, I didn't have everything was new. So I don't play guitar because of the tuning. I don't play guitar the same way on my other project than AXLAUSTADE. So I think it was interesting. And I just want to say a little thing about the story and the character and all this stuff. Like an example of this, it's like the second song. It's called AXLAUSTADE. For us, is the story of our character. It was from a small place in Quebec, where we live. Like, I'm from Victoriaville, it's like a small city, and the kid start from there and go to the famous Guns N' Roses show at the Olympic Stadium, and it changed his life, Right. So that's why it's the second song of the album. And it's an example of all of story that we wrote.
And it's more than that. Like Steve is saying, we wrote, but so we had the song, and Steve did a montage of like there's a video of that story with like old footage of a guy driving to Montreal and goes to gets at the Olympic Stadium, and you see shots of the concert. So we could listen to the song and watch like the images that Steve that montage,
like small video clip, and it was a starting point for all the Osheaga visual, all this. So you have an idea. But we can't get out the video because we use a lot of I don't know how to say that.
Rip footage.
Yeah, exactly.
From YouTube.
So there was Osheaga, and that was your first show, which is pretty amazing. What's the plans for moving forward? Do you have more shows planned?
Not yet. We're trying to see with the label. They're like, it's so like everything is so new with the band. So like, what are we gonna do? Like, okay, we're gonna do interviews. So we're just trying to enjoy every moment. But of course, we're gonna do like new shows. But I think we want to try to do something not different, but some more in a stunt way. Like we wanted to play at the skate park at the Olympic Stadium, and just try to keep it special, try to keep it at a special place to make sure we don't do things with that projects that we do in our like real job life. Just want to try to like make it more special, more different. That's something we want to try.
Cool. Well, it sounds like you're off to a good start. I wish you all the best with it. I look forward to seeing you in maybe a small club in Montreal, or even a skate park.
Yeah, but that could be cool. I mean, a small club that would be so cool. Like so we just want to try to stay creative with how we can like where we can perform that music and make sure that people they get like they have fun like watching that kind of concept, that kind of show. So it's very cool.
Cool. Well, I really like what you're doing. So good luck with it all. And thanks for spending your Friday morning chatting with me. It's been a good little chat. And
thanks so much,
have a great weekend.
Thank you. Thanks and we'll keep you posted if we do a small club or something.
For sure. I'll be there.
All right. Cool. Thank you, Steve.
All right. Thanks, guys.